Hello and welcome to ATech. My name is Akshay and we are back with the last part of this tutorial, that is student enrollment windows application. So in the previous part I have told you we had to extend this part further because the things we are still left with and that I had to explain, but in the single tutorial, that is in the previous tutorial, it was not possible because the length of that tutorial was already so much bigger, and for you guys also it was not possible to learn so much things in a single tutorial. Okay, so that is why we had to further that tutorial, and this will be the last part of this series, this Windows application. So now today we will learn how we can edit and delete these records from the database. Okay, so in the previous tutorial as well I have told you, what if we want to edit the records we are adding into the database, and I will show you that use case here only. Let me run this. What if you want to edit the records? Let's say we have done some spelling mistake, maybe we have entered wrong data, or let's say what we want to delete the record that we don't need anymore. Okay, so I will run this once again, and so I will run this first. So Akshay B 1994, so that password is correct. Let me log in. Now let's go to the students, and you will notice in the student list something like this. Okay, so why it is object there? Because if you recollect, in the previous tutorial what we have done while adding those students, let me go to that form. So while adding the student in the database, we have let user select that courses from this drop down menu, but before we have used that drop down menu as hard coded items, but after that what we have done, we have fetched that record directly from the database. But if you notice, if we click on this arrow here, this data source is this course binding source, and that is nothing but object. Okay, and that we haven't changed in the database. Okay, so let me go in the view code. So here if you see this combo dot courses, this combo box courses dot selected item, this selected item is nothing but an object and not the value. So that is why what we have to do, let's go there again, and we have to select that value to be course name only. Okay, so in the previous part I have choose this course ID, but if we choose this course ID, so the value will be ID and not the name, but we want to display that course name into this drop down. So we have to display that, we have to choose that, we have to choose that course name for this display member. But if we want to store that value into the database, that value should be also course name only. Okay, so having done that, if we go here in this CS file, instead of select item, what we have to use is selected value. Okay, so that we have to use here, and as soon as we do that, it will be alright. Now let's just try and add one student there. Let me just close this. And let's just run this again. So Akshay B 1994, it is correct. Let me log in. Now let's just try to add one student here. Let's say test A, maybe test A T dot test, and I will keep that as it is. Anyway, we are just testing this application, and I will choose, let's say, test A at gmail.com as email ID, and I will keep that physics as it is, and let me save this. Okay, so now we have added that. Let's just go to students, and whatever record we have just added, we can able to see that here. Okay, so you will notice that test A T dot, that test A T test we have just added here, and if you notice, it is correctly taking that course as physics and not the object. But here why it has taken that as object? Because at that time we have used that as selected item. Okay, But is also a use case. What if we want to edit this and we want to save that in the database? And let's say what if I want to delete this record itself? So for that we should provide that functionality, that is edit and delete functionality. So now let's just see how we can do that. So let's say if we go to this add student form, not the student form but student record form, and in here, and first of all what we have to check, we have to go to this arrow of this data grid view. So the enable editing is checked already. Okay, so that we have to check. If it is not checked here, we have to check that. So we have to make this editing enable. Okay, so that we have done. And now what we will do, we will just drag and drop two button here. And why I am doing that, I will explain you in a bit. So first button, let me add another button here, and I will just rearrange this here, somewhere here. Okay, I will name that first button maybe save maybe. Okay, so name of that also I have to change here. And why we give these meaningful names here, as I have already told you, it is very important to give meaningful names to all these controls, because if you want to do certain operations, if you want to perform certain operations on them, so that is why finding these controls is so much easy if we use these meaningful names here. Okay, so button save, what is this? Student data grid. Okay, so btn save student data grid, or let's say I will remove that save from here and I will use that in front of this, so that it will further easy to find us that button. Okay, so save btn student data grid. Okay, and also what I want to change the back color of that is the background color. I will choose that as yellow. Okay, so it is looking good. And similarly for the button 2, I want that same color, and I will change that name as delete btn student data grid maybe. Okay, and text I want to change to delete. Okay, so delete, and I will just increase the size of this button here so that it will look good. Okay, all right. Now what I want, so as we have already enabled that editing in the student data grid view, so now we are enabling user to edit that. But as soon as they edit that and change that, I want to save that thing into the database, and then I want to fetch that record from the database, and again it should be displayed here. So for that, let me double click on this save button here. I will generate that event, and now in this what we want to save that database, we want to save that changes into the database. So for that I have to create instance of this, not student, yes it is student entities, that is db entities, db is equals to student db entities. Okay, and now what we want to do, we want to fetch the record, that is we want to find the record which user is editing, that is the current row. And how we can do that? For that we will use one variable here, student record maybe, and it's equals to, I will find that record from the database. Okay, and how we can do that? Let's just use something like this, and there is this first method, and in that what I will do, I will use this lambda expression here. Now if you guys not aware about lambda expressions, so you can follow my video tutorial on anonymous method and lambda expression, and link of that you will find in the description below. Okay, so what I will do, I will check if the student ID is equal what ID, whatever current row that user is editing, we will find that ID. And how we can do that? So let me show you that. Okay, so int ID is equals to, we know what data grid view we are editing, student data grid. Okay, that is, it should be data grid student record. Yes, and in that the current row we are on in VR, that is in the current row, whatever current row in VR, in that there is this property sales, and from that on the first index whatever there is, I want that value, and the 0th index we know there is student ID. So let me show you that. If we go to the student record form here, so you will notice that first column is nothing but ID column. So that is why on the first index, on the 0th index, I will get the value of that ID, and for that I have to use this property here, that is value, and that should be dot to string, and we know that it is nothing but an integer, so we have to convert that. Okay, and also if you don't aware about convergence, data convergence, you can follow that tutorial as well, and you will find that in the C# tutorial video series. You can go and check that out, and I will provide the link for that, so don't worry about that, and you will check that video. Okay, so we got that ID, and now we will check, that ID here, and if it is so, if it has find that student, it will fetch that record and it will store that into the student record. Now we have that record, and now what we want to do, we want to edit that record. So student record, not a big S, it's a small s, yes. So student record dot student name, what we want to initialize that student name to, that data grid view student record dot current row dot sales on the first index, whatever it is, we know on the first index. So that is why it is very important to know which column is on which index. So that is why it is very important. I know that name column is in first index. Okay, so that is why, so dot to string, because we know it is string. And let me show you that again. So student record form, so first index is nothing but name, after that there is gender, age, DOB, course, email ID. Okay, so let me go there again. So gender, age, DOB, let me go there. Okay, so let me just copy and paste this several times, because anyway we just have to change that index, and we just have to change that property here. Okay, alright, now we know we want gender, that is student gender, and that is on second index. After that there is age, and we know that age is nothing but integer. Okay, so we have to convert that, and we have to change the index of that as well. So that is on the third index, so it should be int 32, and we know after that there is this DOB, so student DOB, and we know that is nothing but a date time, so we have to convert that to date time. Okay, so convert dot to date time, there should be this method date time in that convert class, and now it is all right. And after that let's just check that again. After gender, age, DOB, there is this course and email ID. Okay, so it should be course, and index of that is 5, and I have to change that index here, it should be 4, and lastly it is email ID, and index of that is 6. So now having done this, what we have to do, we have changed this record from the database directly by fetching that record from the database. Now what we have to do, we have to save these changes, and we know if we don't do that, that won't reflect in the that won't get reflect in the database. Okay, so that is why we have to change this, that is why we have to save these changes. And again what we will do, we will provide one message here that it is added into the database. Okay, so let me just use that. Message will be student updated successfully. Alright, but again one thing we have to do here, that whenever that user is in edit mode, at that time only that save button should be enabled. Okay, so for that we have to change the default behavior of this button. Okay, so if I right click on this button here, we want to disable that for now, and when we will enable that, whenever a double click event fired. And for that what we can do, just click on this data grid view here, just go to properties of that, just go to events, and in that there should be this sale double click event, and in that event only, whenever that event gets fired, at that time only we want to enable that button, that is the save button student data grid, we want to enable that. Okay, otherwise default behavior should be false. And once again, after saving that, okay, so we know if we are saving this, so after saving that and after showing this message, once again we want to disable that button, because after that there is no point making that button, keeping that button as enabled. Okay, so that is why. Okay, so now having done all these things, let's just go and try this. Okay, and after that we will see how we can create the delete functionality as well. Okay, so Akshay B 1994, and yes, it is correct. So that is anyway a case sensitive. There is no matter that k is small or big. Okay, so let me go to students, and now if you notice, this save button is disabled. Okay, so I can click on this delete, but I cannot click on this save here. But as soon as I go and edit that, so you will notice that save button is again enabled here. So now we can edit this thing, and what we want to edit here, we want to edit this course here, which was mistakenly added as an object. Okay, so now let's just say I want to make that as maths. Okay, and here as well I want to make something like, let's say physics maybe. Okay, and let me save that. So you will see student updated successfully. And now to check that, okay, and you will also see as soon as we do that, that save button is disabled again, because there is no point enabling, because there is no point keeping that button enabled, because if we are not in an edit mode. Okay, but as soon as we go in the edit mode, that save button is again is enabled. Okay, and as soon as you do that, it is disabled again. Okay, but you will notice one thing, what if we go to this edit mode but without changing anything, without saving this, if we come out of this, but the save button is enabled. So for that we have to fire some different event. Okay, so now what we will do, and before that let me show you something. If I go to this ID, you will notice we cannot able to edit this ID. Only name, gender, let's say gender, age, all these things we can edit here. Okay, but not the ID. And why? Because we should not able to edit this ID. That ID should be unique. On that ID only we are fetching that record from the database, and on that ID's record we want to change these things, we want to update these things. So that is why. So now what I want to do, whenever I come out of that edit mode, so I want to disable that button again. So for that let me go there again in the design mode, and in that there should be that event. Let's go to that events. So okay, so this cell end edit, so there is this event, that is cell end edit. So in that what we want to do, we want to disable that button again. Okay, so let me just go and paste that, and I want to disable that. Okay, and now let's just try and run this again. So Akshay B 1994, and let me log in there, and let me go to the students. So if we are in edit mode, so that buttons get enabled again, and if we go out of that edit mode, so you will notice that save button is disabled again. Okay, so now we have achieved all these things for the edit functionality. Now let's just see how we can delete these records. Okay, so for that what we have to do, we'll go to that student record form again and just double click on that delete. And now in that also what we have to do, if we are removing that record from the data grid view, we have to remove that from the database as well. So that is why we will need again this database connection here. Okay, and as well as we have to find that record as well. Okay, so let me show you that. Let me copy this thing from here and let me put that here. We are using that database object here. We are fetching that record, that is we are fetching that ID from the record, and we are fetching that record from there. And now what we want to do, we want to remove that record from the database as well as from the data grid view. And now how we can remove that from the data grid view? So data grid view dot student dot record, there is this rows, and in that rows there is this method that is remove. Okay, and in that remove, what we have to pass, whatever row we want to delete. Okay, so what row we want to delete? Data grid view student record dot whatever current row we are in. Okay, so we are selecting whatever current row, and having done that, we have to remove that from the database as well. Okay, so db dot students dot remove, what we have to remove? We have to remove the student record, whatever we have fetched from the database. And why this student record? Because currently whatever row we have selected, that ID we have find from the database, and that record we have find from the database, and that we want to remove. Okay, and we know we have to save changes. Okay, and again after that we are removing that from the data grid view as well, and we should provide one message as well. Okay, so let's say message box dot show, I want to show one message there that student deleted successfully. And now once again what we have to do, one thing, that is we should only enable that button, that delete button, whenever we select that row, otherwise that should be also disabled. So that is why we should also change the default behavior of this delete button as well. And now how we can do that? Let's just go to this property. We were in this event section, so you have to just click here in the middle, and this is nothing but a property section, and in that there is this enabled that we have to make false. Okay, so the default behavior will be false, but as soon as we select any row, that should be enabled again. And how we can do that? Let's just click on this grid view here and go to properties of that grid view, and in that event section there should be a event that is selection change event. Okay, so in this event what we will do, but in this event as well, we don't want to enable that directly. We want to check if that data grid view, that is student data grid view dot current cell, that is current row, not the cell. So current row, if it is selected, okay, and then only we want to enable that button. Okay, so delete button student data grid. Okay, and that we want to enable if and only if that current row is selected, whatever current row, whatever row the user has selected, and not only cell, because if he or she can only select that cell as well, but by selecting only cell, we should not allow to delete that record. If and only if that user has selected the entire row, then only we should be able to delete that record. Okay, so that is why what we have to do, we have to select that true here, we have to make that as true here, because if that row is selected. And now what we will do, and once again what we have to do, because this selection change event will fire every time. If you even select that row, if you come out of that row, if you select that cell as well, each time this selection change event will be fired. So that is why if user is only selecting the cell and not the entire row, so that is why in the else condition, not here but here in the else condition, what we have to do, we have to again make that delete button student data grid as false, that is enabled as false. Okay, now having done all these things, let's just check this once again. So Akshay B 1994, and let's just log in there. Let's just go to students, and now both these buttons are disabled here. Let's say I am only selecting this cell here and not the entire row, but so that at that time this delete button should not be enabled. But as soon as I select all this row, that is entire row, so that delete button is enabled here. And as soon as I select this cell only again, so that delete button should be disabled again. So now let's say I want to delete one record from here. Let's say this record, that is with ID 1004. This record I want to delete, and let's say if I click on this delete button, and you will notice student deleted successfully. But now this is not very efficient thing, or maybe not, this is not a very efficient way to delete this record. We often see that whenever we delete something in our phone, in our mobile, or maybe from our machine, so there is this dialog, that is a confirmation dialog. That is, do you really want to delete this? So that functionality we should provide the user. That is, we should confirm from the user if he or she really want to delete this record. So now for that, what we can do, and before that, let me show you that this record is really deleted from this. Let me close this and let me go to this student once again, and you will not find that record with that ID, that is 1004. And let me show you that from this database as well. So let me go to this database. So let me connect here, and from this also I want to tell you one thing. For now we have uses this dot here, and what is the meaning of that dot? That dot is nothing but a local machine. On our local machine, it will find if there is that SQL database or not, and if it is so, it will connect to that. But it is not a very good practice to always use this dot, because right now we are running this application in our own machine. So that is why this time it will work. But what if you are giving this application to someone else in someone's machine? So at that time it will not work, because it is not necessary that database will be on that user's machine as well. So that is why it is very good practice to use always a server name. And what is the server name for this? My server name is nothing but Akshay. And how we can see that? So let me show you. Let's say if we go to maybe this PC, and if you right click on this properties here, you will find we can find our server name here. Okay, so you will find the computer name is nothing but Akshay here. Okay, so that is nothing but our server name, and that we can use here instead of dot, and that is very good practice. And if I now connect, it should connect to that database, whatever database I have on this machine. And this I have explained you before as well, that is, this is not a database, but this is only an IDE which helps us to connect to our database, and this is not the actual database. Okay, so let me go to this database, and there is the student DB, and if I go to this query, so let me show you that we have deleted that record from the database. Okay, so let me use that query, that is select query. So select star from student, that is this, and let me just execute that query, and you will notice there is no student with that ID here anymore, that is 1004. Okay, so up to 1003 only there are students here. Okay, so we have deleted successfully that, and similarly we have edited as well. Okay, so if you find here, we have edited that record here. Okay, you will notice that this was before, this was a system object. Okay, but you will notice something, this isn't updated. Okay, now, and why is that so? Because if you recollect in the course record, not a course record but the student record only, in the design mode maybe. So let me show you that again. Yes, it is already running here. So if you notice, if we edit this item here, so that save button is enabled here, but if we come out of that, so that should get disabled here, but that won't get disabled previously, and we have generated this functionality afterwards. Okay, so at that time we have tried to edit this in a bulk mode. Okay, but that is not possible, and we should not allow that to happen. So user should only edit this one by one. So that is why now if I edit this, let's say I want to make that as maths. So now if I save this, and after that it should get disabled there, and only next time if I go in the edit mode, it is enabled again. Okay, so that is why, and we should not allow the bulk update there, and we can do that as well, but anyway, this is very simple editing I am showing you. So now, as I have told you, we should give one confirmation box there, that if user is really want to delete that record. So now for that, what we can do, and before that, let me go to this app config here, and what I have just told you about that database thing, it is very good practice to use that server name instead of dot there. So similarly, what we will do for that database connection string as well, instead of that dot in front of that data source, this data source is nothing but a machine name. Okay, so I will use that name directly, that is Akshay. So it is very good practice to use that. And now what we will do, coming back to that concept, so in the student record, that is here, not here, it is save button functionality, but in the delete functionality, yes. So before removing that, we should ask user once, that confirmation dialog we should create. Now what we can do for that, let's just have one variable here, OK cancel button, and you will find that in this message box buttons there is this options, that is OK, yes, no, cancel. Maybe I will use this OK cancel, and I am storing this button in this variable for now. And why? Because that will be very big name here, and we are storing that in a small variable here. And why, I will tell you, and even I will shorten that name to something like this, let's say btn only. Okay, and now what I will use one another variable here, and that will be confirm deletion. And in that, what we will do, we will use one message box here, but now this time you will see, if I hover my mouse over here, let me use that big S. Okay, if I hover my mouse over here, you will see there are several overloaded versions of this save method. Okay, and now what is overloading we have already learned, and I have already told you in the previous tutorial itself. If you are not aware about overloading, you can check that in my C# tutorial video series. You will find that, and that is overloading in C# tutorial, and you can check that video out if you are not aware about method overloading, let's say constructor overloading. Okay, so you can check that out. But so I am going to use this overloaded version of this show method here. Okay, so what I can do, I can give one message here. Okay, so do you want to delete this student? Okay, something like this I can give the message here. And what is the next item here? That is nothing but a caption. And what is this caption? This is nothing but a heading which will be shown on that dialog box. Okay, so let me show you that. Confirmation dialog. I will name that as confirmation dialog. And what is the next item here? That is nothing but that button, and that we have generated here, and we have stored that into this OK cancel button. Okay, so I will give that here. And now what this message box will return, if I hover my mouse over here, you will see that what this show method will return, it will return this dialog result, and that will be OK or cancel. Whatever user will select OK or cancel, that result will be here. And now what we will do, we will use one condition here, that is if that confirm deletion dot to string we have to do, because that is nothing but an object. If is equal to OK, and if it is so, then and then only we will remove all this thing from here. Okay, otherwise we will cancel that. And let's just see that again. Now let's just run this again. So let me provide these credentials here. Akshay B, 1994. It is alright. Let me log in there. And now if I go to the students, and let's say I want to delete some record from here. Let's say this test record. Okay, and that is why I have created this. So I have already created this dummy record, and let's say I want to delete this. But before deleting this, you will see this confirmation dialog here. Okay, so do you want to delete this student? What if I click cancel here? So as soon as I click cancel, that record will no longer be deleted from here. Okay, and if I click here, that will be disabled again. But if I click OK, if I go to this delete and if I click OK, that record will be deleted from there and that message is there, student deleted successfully. So this is how we can create this delete and edit functionality. Now I have created this only for the student. We have to create that for this course and this user as well. Now to save our time, I have already typed this code for this course and user. For this course and user. So I will use that only. Okay, to save our time, and anyway we have learned already how we can create this functionality. So that will be no difference for that course and for that user. Okay. So only thing I have to create here is that if I go to this record form, there should be this button. Okay, and there are this button already. I have created this as well. Okay. Now what I will do, I will just change the order of this. I will keep that save button there and I will keep that delete button here. And as well as in the user record form, that is here, I want that same button, but delete should be here and save should be here. Okay. And only thing I have to do is I have to fire up this event. So let me double click that, and for this delete data grid I have already typed some code here. Okay, so I have that code here, that is for this delete. This is nothing but the code for that course I want for the user. Okay, so this is nothing but a delete user record. Okay, so I want that code and I will copy that from here and I will paste that here. Okay, and now once again, just like I have used this try and catch block here, we will use that for we will use this same thing for the student as well. Okay, so I will move that code inside a try catch block, and it is always a very good practice to put this critical code inside a try block, and we should always handle this exception. And now once again I am recommending you guys, if you don't aware of this exception handling as well, you can go and check that as well in my C# tutorial video series, and link for that you will find in the description below. That is a C# tutorial video series. Okay, that is a C# tutorial for beginners series. Okay, so in that what we will do, we will show that message. So ex.message. Okay, and the same thing I have to do for delete as well. Okay, so this delete event, I want to put that code inside one try block. Okay, and we have to handle that exception here like this. So coming back to that user record form.cs. Okay, so we have used that code for this. Again, this save button functionality also I will copy from here only, because I have told you already that we have to save the time and we have learned all these things already with that student. Okay, so now go to that course record form and I will generate that save event here, and in that I will paste this code here. Okay, yes, it is not a code for that course. Let me just get rid of that. I want that for course. Okay, that is this. So that means we are still left with that delete. So that means we are still left with that user here. Okay, so user record form, in that we want that, if I go here in this save button, click. Okay, in that we want that code. Okay, that is this. Okay, all right. And similarly for the course record form, that is in the design mode, for this delete we want that functionality, and the code for which I have already typed here. So that is nothing but a user, and we want that delete functionality, okay, that I already typed here in this file, and let me use that here. Yes, again it is not user, it should be course, okay. So this I want. Alright, and once again we want those events as well, that is those cell double click event for all the for the user as well as for the course, okay, and for as well as the selection change event, that edit end event, that also we want, okay. So now that also I have typed here already, and we will use that only, okay. But we will fire those events separately. We will not use this complete method here, because the definition of that we will not find in the designer mode then, okay. So this is nothing but a selection change event for the course record, and I will go there. For the course record I want that event, that is selection event, selection change event. So here there is the selection change, and in that I will put that code, and similarly I want cell double click event as well, okay. So this cell double click event, and in that what we want that button to be enabled, okay, as soon as user double click that. And similarly we want one edit event, one end event as well, okay, that is cell end edit, okay, this we want. And in that end event what we want, just like the student, if you go here, if I right click and view and go to view code, so here we know we have generated that event. As soon as that edit event is end, we want to disable that again, okay. So just like this we want to disable that course as well, that button as well for this course record, but that should be save course data grid, okay. And this similar thing we have to do for this user record. So if I go to the design mode, and I have to generate that events, so let me generate that cell double click event, and in that I will use this code I have already typed here, okay. And similarly I want two more events, that is this selection changed, and in that what we want delete data grid to be enabled, not delete data grid but save data grid, okay. If you remember, we don't want to let user if it is, yes, and it should be vice versa, that this code should be here and this code we required here, okay. That was my mistake, okay. Now it's all right. And let me just once check, and let me just fire up one another event, and that should be cell end edit, and as soon as it end we want to make that save button as false again, okay. Dot enabled is equals to false, okay. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and just check this once, and let me just run this again, and we will see all this together if all these functionalities are working fine. So Akshay B, (1994), if it is correct, I will log in. So this thing we have already tested. Let me go to these courses, and let me just add one course here. Okay, so let's say test, and let's say 2000 maybe. Okay, so let me save that. So course added successfully, and we should be able to see that in here. But let's say what if I want to delete that? Okay, and as soon as so you will see, as soon as I select that complete row here, that button gets enabled here, and if I want to delete that, if I click yes, so that should get deleted here, and course added and course deleted successfully. Okay, and let's say if I want to edit that, let's say I want to make this 2000 to 2000 only, this 2500 to 2000 maybe. Okay, so and yes, there is something wrong, because I think I have used that delete button instead of that save button to be enabled. So let's just go to that course record form.cs file, and in that, yes, cell double click, it should be save button and not the delete button. Okay, so now let's just run this again, and let me check let me once check that for each and everything for user as well. So let me go there. Okay, so for sale and edit, it is perfectly fine. So it is also fine. Okay, now let me put that credential there. And there should be small k. Let me log in. Now if I go there in the courses, if I want to edit that, so that button is enabled there. Okay, but if I go out of that, that is get disabled again. Okay, so let me just edit this here. Let me save that. Okay, and that message is not shown because I think we have not shown that. I think we have not used that message box there. So not a big issue. We can use that, and we have already learned how we can do that. Okay, so let me just close this. Let me go to users. So we should be able to save this. We should be able to edit this. Let's say this operator, I want to make that as viewer, and let me save that. So now it is saved. Let's say I want to, let's say we will check that again. Okay, let me go there. Yes, so it is not getting saved. So there is something problem there. There is some problem there, and let me go there and check that what is the problem. So in the delete functionality, okay, so I got the problem. Maybe that problem is occurring because of the sale and edit event. Okay, so let me just remove that from here, and anyway we don't need that. I have just added an extra layer to that enabled and disabled functionality. Okay, so let me just go in this designer file as well. We have to remove that. Let me just confirm that if it is that only. So let me go there. So here, yes, it is that event. Let me just remove that, and now let's just see. Let's just try and run this. Okay, so Akshay B, 1994. Okay, so let me log in. Now let's just go to users. Let's see if now this time we can edit this. Let's say I want to make that as viewer, and let me save that. Yes, so this time it is working fine. User updated successfully. Okay, so now let me close that, and if I go there again, so it is updated successfully. So that event is disabling that button. Okay, so that is why that problem was occurring, and that same problem should be there as well. should be here as well. Okay, so if I go to the students, let's say I want to save this. Okay, so I cannot be able to save that, so that sale and edit event that is making all this thing happen. Okay, so we don't need that event anyway, that is just extra layer to that disable and enable functionality. Okay, so here I have to get rid of this from a student as well as from that course as well as from that course. Okay, so course record form, and let me go to the view code, and in that sale and edit event. So let me close that and let me go to designer of this, because that definition also we have to delete from here. Okay, and same thing for the student, that is, let me press end, shift home, and let me delete that. Now it is good, and let me show you this thing again. So Akshay B 1994, let me log in. So now we have already seen that student, so let me see if I can be able to edit this. Let me save this. Yes, this time I am able to edit as well as delete. So let me just show you once again that user, let me make that as operator again. Okay, let me save that. Okay, so now it is working fine, all this functionality together. Now what I want to show you that how I have added this course form here, and all the codings for that, because I have not shown you in the previous tutorial that thing, because I have told you that, because at that time I have told you we have learned all these things at the time of a student, at the time of adding student, at the time of making connection, database connection for the student, fetching record for the student. So that is why I have directly created this course, this add course here. But let me show you all the codings once lastly there, that is, if I go to that add user form here, so I have generated this form and I have created all the functionality for this save button here. You will notice that is nothing but the same functionality as that of student. Okay, so I have created this database here, that is the object of that database, object of that class. I have initialized all the properties here like this and with respective validations, and I have saved that to the database. Okay, and all these are nothing but a mouse over and mouse leave events. Okay, so that we can able to see that password, and as soon as we leave that mouse, it should get encrypted again. And this is nothing but validating events for all these controls that also I have created for these courses. This is nothing but a user for this user, and same thing I have done with this course. If I go, that is not the course record but add course. So if I go to this add course, if I click on this save, all this functionality also I have generated for this as well. Okay, so this is nothing but the same thing with all the validation and saving that data. So this is nothing but the validation for all these controls here. Okay. Alright, now we have done with this application, but lastly I want to show you one thing. Now we can run this project like this, okay, and we can run this application, but what if okay, we can run this like this from here from this Visual Studio, but what if we want a exe file of that, and we want to run this application from that exe file? So for that, let me just first build this project. So we should always build this, Ctrl+Shift+B, and after building that, if we go right click on that project and if we go to this open folder in File Explorer, so in this bin and debug, you will notice all these assemblies here. Okay, and this is nothing but our exe. And now if you want to learn more about these assemblies, how these assemblies get generated, and how we can see the intermediate language code of these assemblies as well, all these things I have explained in my .NET Frameworks tutorial series. Okay, so you can follow that series and you will know all the basic things as well for the about this .NET framework, and as well as how we can generate these assemblies, how we can see the intermediate language code of these assemblies, how we can strong naming these assemblies. Okay, and why it is important to strong naming an assembly. That also, all these things I have explained in that tutorial series. Okay, so if you want to know more about this, you can check that video series, you can check that tutorial series. But now coming back to this concept, okay, so now if I run this by double clicking on that exe, so now we can able to run, so now we can able to run this something like this as well from that exe. Okay, and this should be the way, to, if we want to give this application to the user, because you often seen that whenever we download something from the internet, that exe is generated and the depending files, that is something like this, gets generated and are gets downloaded in one of the folder, whatever folder we are downloading. Okay, whatever folder we are downloading in. Okay, so now if I log in from here as well, we can be able to run this application. Okay, I can able to go anywhere, I can able to see this user. Okay, so something like that. But you will notice one thing, so let me show you one thing. If I right click and clean this solution and once again go to that debug folder, you will notice there is nothing there, because as soon as we clean this project, those assemblies get removed from that debug folder. So that is why what we can do, we can go change this to release mode, and let me just build this again. And now if I right click and go to that open folder in File Explorer, so in bin and in release, instead of that debug, those same files will get generated in this release. Okay, so now what we should do, what we can do is we can remove all these files from here, we can cut this and we can paste, let's say I will paste that somewhere here on the desktop. Okay, so let me paste that in the desktop. Let me create one folder, student enrollment app maybe. Okay, and this folder, in this folder we will paste that file. But as I have already told you, these are all nothing but a depending assemblies for this exe. And what if I take this exe from here, let's say I will cut this from here and I will paste that directly somewhere here onto this desktop maybe, and let's try to run this. It will run perfectly, but it will run perfectly, not a issue. But if I go and try to log in, and let's see if it is correct. Yes, so password is correct. Let me make that a small k. Okay, so let me log in. So you will notice it is throwing an exception, and what it is saying, could not load file or assembly entity framework version 6.0.0 and culture neutral public key token, all these etc thing. And all these things, what is this public key token, this culture neutral, what is this version, all these things as well I have explained in the .NET Frameworks tutorial series. If you guys want to know about this as well, that is what is this public key token, culture neutral, this version, so for that you can follow that tutorial series, that is .NET Frameworks tutorial series. Link for that you will find in the description below. Okay, so now coming back to this, so that is why we want that assemblies reference. So that is why we want that so that is why to run this exe as well, we want those dependent assemblies. Okay, so that is why this file should be in the folder where all the dependent assemblies are there. But anyway, what if you want to just keep this single file somewhere else? So for that, what we can do, we can right click, not on this, but this is the exe. On this we can right click, we can create shortcut of that, and that shortcut we can cut from here and we can paste that here. And now if you notice, if I run this and if I log in, so if I log in, so this time it should work. Okay, and now if you guys might be wondering how it is working, because this file is not an actual file, but this is only a shortcut. And if I hover my mouse over here, you will see that location, student enrollment app, which is nothing but on the desktop. Okay, that is the folder. Okay, and this is nothing but a shortcut for that location. Okay, so same thing you will notice, there is this application here, this image uploader app, this image uploader, that is nothing but also a shortcut. But if I run this, so this application I have created way back, and what this application do, that if I click on this upload image, so this application I have created way back there, and if I click on any image here, if let's say this yellow pearl diamond, so that image will be shown here. So this is nothing but also one of the application, one shortcut for the application. If I hover my mouse over here, let me click away, and if I go there, so you will see that location, that is G folder, Akshay Visual Studio 2019, WinForm application, image uploader, bin debug. So that is the location, but this is nothing but the shortcut. And now again, one thing what we can do, can we change the icon for this application? Okay, so if I double click on this application, you will notice we have changed the icon. You will notice we have changed the icon for this form, but that doesn't mean that it will be changed for this exes icon as well. So for that, what we can do, let's just go here, and we can right click on that project, go to properties, and in here you will find that tab, this icon and manifest. So right now there is this default icon selected, and I can choose any icon I want, and I can choose any icon I want. So let's say I go to this G folder, and there is this ATX icon. I will select that. Yes, what it is saying, icon could not be added to the project, unable to add a file with that name is already exist, because I can find that here itself. If I click on this arrow, so here it is a file I have already used before as well. Okay, so now if you don't find that, you can browse that from here. And now let me save this, and let me once again build this. And if I go and right click on this, and if I go in this open folder in File Explorer, and in the bin and the release folder, you will find now it has that icon. Okay, and now we can copy this from here, and we can go and save that, is replace that file with these files. I will replace all these files. Okay, and now what we will do, we will create the shortcut for this file. Okay, so let's just go and create the shortcut for that, and let me just cut that shortcut from here, and I will put that in here on this desktop. Okay, so now it is looking somewhat good, and we can say that we have created this application, and we have provided our own icon for that application. Okay, so Akshay B 1994. Okay, and let me log in. So we should be able to log in. Okay, so now this is nothing but a very simple desktop application, that is student enrollment Windows application. So now next time we will meet in some new tutorial series, or maybe in the new tutorial. But till then, subscribe this channel if you have not already. If you like these videos, comment, like and share these videos, and we will meet soon in the next tutorial, or maybe in the next tutorial series. And till then, stay tuned and thank you.